Hey YouTube, Kira Twick here, bringing you all my Phantom Knight King Sarcophagus deck profile for post the 2024 Dueling Mirrors tins. Well, I wanted to update the Phantom Knight deck. We got a good number of cards that you can use in the Phantom Knight deck to help better, including the Horus package or the King Sarcophagus package, whatever you want to call it. It's great for the graveyard setup of your Phantom Knight monsters while being able to summon back the King Sarcophagus or Horus monsters back onto the field to use as additional resources, whether for their own monster effects or for the additional extra deck summons, and also being able to make use of some of the other cards reprinted in the set, like F-Zero. Still a very big fan of the Utopic F-Zero monster in the extra deck lineup as well for a negate. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Phantom Knight monsters, we still run the 3 Phantom Knight of Torn Scales. You can discard one card, send one Phantom Knight card from your deck to the graveyard, and then also Phantom Knight Torn, except for Torn Scales. If another Phantom Knight card in your graveyard is banished while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can get around the banish by just using your Torn Scales for an overlay, because then it'll just be an Xyz material and not another monster on the field for you to use. But still, very, very useful, especially with that play. And then we're also running the 3 copies of the Phantom Knight of Silent Boots. If you control a Phantom Knight monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Boots once per turn this way, and you can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So search power on top of an easy special summon. Just having your one Phantom Knight monster can give you that special summon resource, and then being able to use the 2 as an overlay into another additional summon. For some of the lower numbers for our Phantom Knight monsters, we run 2 copies of Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. You have the attack boost by switching this card to defense, but the big play is the banish from the graveyard to then add one Phantom Knights card from your deck to your hand. So it says the Phantom Knight card, so we can add either a monster or a trap that has the Phantom Knights in it, like Shade Brigandine, which can give us another special summon extension onto the field. Also, with the one-ofs for our Phantom Knight monsters being 1 Stained Greaves and 1 Ragged Gloves, you have send power off of Ragged Gloves. You can even just send a Phantom Knights card. So additionally, you can send your traps to give you more banished special summon resources from the graveyard, and Stained Greaves if a Phantom Knight monster is special summon to your field, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand and increase the level of this card by 1. So just an additional extension if you go for the search of this card as well off of, let's say, your Ancient Cloak, then you'll have that resource to summon back onto the field also. For the Horus engine, we're running the 3 Imseti Glory of Horus. This was a very pricey card for a while, but with the Megaton reprint, not so easy to pull, but still a much better affordable price than what it once was. Having this be your search, being able to send this card off with another card to search out your King Sarcophagus, and then drawing an additional card. So you're making up for this card and the additional card you send off of it, because then you'll be getting your King Sarcophagus search and a draw off of it as well. And then while controlling the King Sarcophagus on the field, you can then have this card be special summon on the field, and then have its additional effect of being able to send one card on the field to the graveyard if an opponent's card with this card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card. So extra protection for your other cards also. For the other Horus monsters, 1 of the Duomotif, the 1 Quabanisif, and the 1 Happy. All 1-ofs, but still, they could just be sent off of King Sarcophagus as well, and then have additional special summon plays onto the field and as additional resources to use, or just keeping them on the field for their monster effects also. Some more of the generics we run for the Phantom Knight engine. 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld, just more special summon resources, because the 2 cards we summon off of Tour Guide from the Underworld are the Seer and Graph setup. You can have the level 3 play, and then the Graph special summon setup to use with Cherubini, just extending more and more resources onto the field using these cards. I also still like to run the 3 Kagamucha Knight. Now this is a specific, if you don't want to run Kagamucha Knight, you could try the field spell that acts as an additional King Sarcophagus on the field, and replace Kagamucha Knight for that spot, with the rest of the main deck monsters being 1 Psychic Tracker and the 1 Psychic Wielder. Additional level 3 special summon extensions onto the field for you to go into, with rank 3s being a big part of our playstyle still in the extra deck. It helps just for setting these cards up with some of our other level 3 Phantom Knights. For the spells, we're running the 3 copies of King Sarcophagus. You Horus monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects that do not target them. You can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to send 1 Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of King Sarcophagus up to 4 times per turn, and once per turn at the start damage step, if your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send that opponent's monster to the graveyard. So what I like about this is obviously you have the send for your Horus monsters, but in turn, the discard can be one of your Phantom Knight cards. So not only are you sending the Horus monster off of that discard, you're setting up a Phantom Knight card in your graveyard for you to then use for the banish of an additional search. So you're really not minusing yourself when you use this King Sarcophagus for that play. And also for the one-ofs, the rest of the spells are one-of sends. The 1 Phantom Knight rank up magic launch, just the rank up spell, which can search off of boots as well for more of your Phantom Knight plays. 1 Call by the Grave, along with 1 Reinforcements of the Army, 1 Monster Reborn, and 1 Foolish Burial, just an additional search send off of this, and then more search, special summon, and restriction of your opponent's plays using the other cards. For the traps, we run 3 copies of Phantom Knight's Fogblade, just a Fiendish Chain-like trap that also prevents your opponent's monsters from attacking, but also when it's in the graveyard, you can have this card be banished and also target a Phantom Knight's monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. But this is a trap, so you can even activate it on your opponent's turn to act as more of a defensive play, let's say, with some of your Phantom Knight cards if need be. But the big play is just to give you another monster on the field to extend your play resources, with the rest of the traps being 1 Shade Brigadine, 1 Phantom Knight Wing, and the 1 Phantom Knight Mist Claws for their protection. Power boost options, having no traps in the graveyard to give you a set activated resource for another monster on the field, and then the Mist Claws being able to target a banished Phantom Knight monster to add back to your hand also. That is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Breaksword. You have the Destruction play with this card. It is a very generic rank 3 monster, just needing 2 level 3 monsters, so it works well with the other cards we run in the deck also for the level 3 plays, being able to target itself with the Destruction, because then when it's destroyed, you can target 2 Phantom Knight monsters in your graveyard, summon them back into the field as extended resources for you to use for plays. They'll be level 4, so you could go for a rank 4 Xyz play, but a lot of times we're just going to go for the Link Summon plays that it can continue on with. And also the 1 Leviair the Sea Dragon, the 1 Dante, the 1 Utopic Future, and the 1 Utopic Draco Future to overlay on top of it by using 2 of our rank 3 monsters. So then the play could be just with these 4 monsters right here, giving you your bigger boss monster to summon out also. I have the Evil Swarm Ophion for my preferred choice for the rank up magic, because once again, what I like with this play, it does lock you out of level 5 special summoning, so it does kind of conflict with your Horus monsters, but if you can get your Horus monsters set up on the field already, then summon out your Ophion, you've locked down your opponent into monsters that they can't summon, while still keeping your big monsters on the field. And also the 1 copy of number 38, and Xyz play to use with our level 8 Horus monsters, and the 1 Zeus to overlay on the Xyz monsters as well as an additional big boss monster play. And then for the Link monsters, 1 copy of Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Cherubini, 1 SP Little Knight, along with 1 IP Masquerena, with our bigger Link monsters being the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardish, and also the Nightmare Unicorn, another target along with SP Little Knight for being able to go into with our IP Masquerena. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said, the King Sarcophagus play really does help for that graveyard setup. If you have your Imzeti in your hand and just 1 additional Phantom Knight card, that could be the discard set and setup to then give you your King Sarcophagus along with the draw of an additional card. Depending on that draw, you can either draw into a potential Phantom Knight card to use, but then you can use King Sarcophagus for the discard, sending and setting up more of your additional resources to then be able to summon back onto the field, giving you your King Sarcophagus play up to 4 times. So then you'll get your King Sarcophagus monsters. You can use the banish of your Phantom Knight card to give you a Phantom Knight spell or trap, giving you that additional resource. It's just the continuation, and then if you have other cards in your hand, use those cards for the send to give you another Horus card from your deck into the graveyard to continue those summons as well. The more you send and the more that they are the Phantom Knight resources, the more you have for the banish, along with those other Horus monsters to summon out, while giving you the banish search for your Phantom Knight cards to continue also with that setup. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, wanted to do a quick update to the Phantom Knight deck, but include the Horus engine, because once again, it is more readily available, not by pulling from the tin, but at least more in a price affordable range for people to build using the cards from the Dueling Mirrors tin. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.